Beyond the Echo Cavern, Chapter 2, A Journey Begins. Gabe was thrilled that his sister was now outside with him and forced to spend time with him. He was about to run over to her with an enthusiastic greeting, but stopped to kick some rocks on the ground. When he saw the scowl on his sister's otherwise pretty face. "Well, come on," Annika said to him, and charged through their gate and toward their field without waiting for Gabe. He stood there for a second watching her go, thinking that it was going to be a miserable walk and wondering how to improve matters. In a flash, he turned to the porch where his toad was now confined in an old aquarium which he had put there for just such purposes. He grabbed the poor creature and then hurried off after his sister. It was a very decent sort of day, just the beginning of summer, so nothing was too dried out and dusty. Gabe hated the dust. He was slightly allergic, and it made his nose run, which in turn forced him to walk around with a finger in each nostril. There was a breeze in the air and a few clouds in the sky. It was warm enough for Gabe to remove his shirt, and he did so as soon as he caught up to his sister. He stuck one end of the shirt into the back of his shorts so that it flapped behind him as he trotted merrily through the high grass of the field, the warm sunlight beating down on his brown little back. Despite the fact that his legs were short, he could keep up with his sister's long stride, and Gabe felt good inside, and composed a little tune which he started out humming to himself, but soon was singing aloud with unselfish abandon. Walking with a toad. Oh, I wish I had been told that tomorrow is his birthday. Oh, it is just a day away. What do you say? When he got to his last line, he would run up to his sister and hold the toad up to her mouth like a microphone, beaming with pleasure. "I say stop it," Annika ended up screaming after about 3 rounds of the catchy tune. Annika was gathering flowers to press, and she focused on finding the best flowers unswervingly. Gabe was delighted when she broke her concentration to yell at him. He laughed and danced away from her and continued to grin and hum. Annika did her best to ignore him. It grew progressively harder, and she could feel her irritation rising up within her, flowing from her stomach to her fingertips and toes, nearly forcing her to explode with rage. She knew that she wouldn't be able to catch him or force him to stop singing, and yet, as he carried on, "Tomorrow is his wedding day with you," Annika found the pressure unbearable and flew at him through the tall grass, screaming, her face all flushed and blotchy. "Stop that singing!" This made Gabe positively overjoyed. His sister turned into a whirling, twirling, angry tornado. He continued to skip and scamper along, laughing, always managing to stay just out of her dangerous reach. In this manner, one laughing, still carrying his toad, and one fuming with frustration, all the flowers she had gathered now dropped from her hands. They reached the end of the field. Now they were standing on the edge of the forest, where the trees were still fairly wide apart, and the sun still shone through. Gabe dodged gracefully behind the first big familiar fir tree, and Annika's hand missed him by a centimeter. Annika's foot, however, caught directly on a big fallen tree limb, and down she fell with a thud into the dirt and fir needles. Even though she wasn't really hurt, she was startled and sobbed loudly. Gabe's heart was touched. Seeing his sister on the ground crying softened him. He wondered what he could do. And glancing around, he found a flower and picked it up tenderly by the stem. He knelt down beside his sister and poked her in the shoulder. "Don't touch me," she hollered at him. He recoiled for a moment, but then plucked up his courage and said, "Here, Annika, I brought you a flower." She stopped crying for a second and lifted her puffy face to look at the peace offering, which was not golden orange with brilliant streaks of red. It was a basic, everyday yellow dandelion. It isn't very pretty, she sniffed ungraciously. Go away. Fine, said Gabe, and he crumpled it up in his hands. Come on, Toad, let's go. The animal was now in his trouser pocket. Gabe charged off into the woods, not looking back. Annika, not liking to be left alone, watched him go for a few seconds, then jumped up, brushed herself off, and ran after him. Gabe, wait! Stop! Hey! Aunt Persephone won't like it if you go off alone without me. Your flower was all right. Gabe didn't stop, but slowed down. When Annika caught up with him, she said, I skinned my knee, Let me see it. There. She showed him the scratch on her leg. I think we should go back now. I'm tired of walking, and I want to press some flowers before school tomorrow. Why? So you can show them to Chirpy Charlie? Asked Gabe, who was not ready for the walk to end. Annika called upon her deepest powers of will to ignore his comment. No! Ruby, Layla, and I are all going to trade tomorrow, so come on, she insisted as he kept on walking. No, he said, calmly trudging on. I want to get up to the stream so I can find another frog for this one to marry. Maybe I can even have some pollywogs in my aquarium. This last bit he called over his shoulder optimistically. Annika rolled her eyes. Frogs lay eggs, she said in her older sister voice. You won't get a girl frog to lay eggs in that stinky old aquarium. You need to just find the eggs on the stream if you want pollywogs. You cannot find frogs in a stream of running water, she concluded authoritatively. Her voice had turned into that annoying know-it-all voice that Gabe hated. Well, maybe if we walk down the stream, we can find some still water, he suggested. If we walk downstream, we come to the road, she answered, throwing up her hands. Well, what if we walk up the stream? He persisted. They did not make a habit of walking up the stream. It led deeper into the woods where the trees grew closer together and very little sunlight could fight its way through. No one had ever forbidden them to walk upstream, but they both had a funny feeling about going in that direction. Neither of them wanted to admit it, though. Come on, Annika, Gabe urged as he turned upstream. Oh, all right, she answered, reasoning that if she gave in on this, he might give in about something really important later. It was cool in the woods, and it smelled good. Gabe put his shirt back on. Both children found enough to amuse and occupy their minds that they moved steadily forward without any more fighting, up the stream and into the dense forest without really noticing that it was getting darker. In fact, they chatted and laughed pleasantly alone in the woods where no one could see them, almost as if they had stumbled into a simple, happy world that belonged to just the two of them. Just when both children were beginning to feel hungry and ready to turn back, the stream took a turn past some big rocks, and they found what they had been looking for, a still, small pool of water. The stream ran into one side of the pool and out the other, but the pool was just wide enough and the stream small enough that the water was perfectly still for frogs' eggs near the edges. They also found something else they were not looking for. Chirpy Charlie was perched on a rock gazing intently at something in the water. End of chapter 2. I will see you in chapter 3. God bless you.